The Archdiocese of Milwaukee ordained 9 priests Saturday. The Archdiocese says it's the largest class since 1992 and one of the largest in the nation. The service led by Archbishop Jerome Listecki, who recently submitted his retirement letter to Pope Francis, a requirement in state law when archbishops turn 75.
Listecki oversees nearly 200 parishes and some 500,000 registered Catholics. And we recently sat down looking back and now ahead and discussing the intersection of politics and religion. I know you said when you first came to Milwaukee, one of your biggest goals was to bring back Catholics who, whether you would call them lost or have left the church. Have you been successful in that?
Well, only God will know about that ultimate success. But certainly what we have to do is make sure the doors are open and the invitation is given. And, hopefully by a consistency, by faithfulness, by a good solid spirituality, it entices individuals basically to come back and to regain a confidence in the church, in the direction of the church.
You mentioned restoring faith in church leaders. You oversaw the bankruptcy, the sex abuse claims. I'm curious, as we sit here today, where in context does all of that lie? Has the church moved on from that?
Oh, I don't think it's moved on. I think what it is, it always has that question before them. Are we doing what we're committed to? So there's a continued vigilance in the church. But I can share this with you, Matt. The church has enacted procedures, policies for the people that deal with children and young people that the rest of the society, especially the government, schools, and public schools, have not. And so, I would hope that they would kind of look to the church as a beacon that kind of directs them to things that they should be doing in order for the protection of our children in that environment. So, that's a part of it. But when you say move on, I don't think we've moved on. I think what we do is we always remember, and by remembering, we make sure we do the right things for those who are entrusted to us and to our care.
I'm curious, as we now sit 6 months out from another presidential election, this intersection of politics and religion, how do you see that play out, and what do you see?
Well, for Catholics, we always put out, every year we put out kind of the issues that Catholics have. And I'm Democrat, I'm not Republican, I'm Catholic. And so therefore I have to take a look at the assessment of those issues, which we believe are for the good of society and the good of the dignity of a human person. So that is what we kind of hold out, for people as a kind of a template to take a look.
Is there a candidate for Catholics?
I don't know if there's a candidate for Catholics. I don't know if there's ever been really a candidate for Catholics. There are individuals who have issues, and then what individuals have to do is assess whether the issues that are there and the leadership that are going to adhere to those issues, respond and help those issues to grow.
On another issue we're seeing play out, immigration and border security, when someone comes to you and says, I just don't know what to think about what I see and what the church says and what politicians say, what do you tell them about in this conversation we're having about immigration? Well,
in the conversation of immigration, we're always called to help those who are in need. So, the providing for basic things like food and comfort, those type of things. So there's what's happened for a long time is an imbalance in the way we've treated immigration. And so you go to one extreme, then all of a sudden you deny the fact of those who might be in need of the response of a society. But if you go to the other, and it's basically an open door, you implode the society upon which individuals want to come to. So there's a need for both sides to come together to fashion something which is reasonable for the society to maintain.
What's the church's role in that conversation?
The church's role is to provide and care for the people who have needs. So, as I've said this often, you take a look at the border. We're not going to be asking a person who's hungry whether they're illegal. We're going to feed them. So those are things that basically the church or the Christian basically has to do with their sense of charity and compassion towards people.
All right, so the Archbishop and Archdiocese now awaiting the official word from the Vatican and the Pope. They say it could take months, even years, sometimes in some cases, before a new Archbishop is appointed.
Up next, the push to combat conspiracies and restore trust in elections. Inside the events being held statewide, and Kathy Bernier, the former Republican state senator, is one-on-one next.